Today I'm going to be taking you through one of my favorite glute workouts, and I have done a voiceover of all exercises so that you'll be able to hear some of my coaching cues with it. And I think this would be really beneficial for your girls who are trying to build glutes, but you may be quad dominant and you don't feel the burn in your glutes. But with this exercise and coaching cues, I'm sure your booty will be on fire. So let's get into it. Now here we are starting off just with a little activation circuit using one of the bands. So we'll be doing lateral band walks with the goal to activate and fire up those glutes before then moving on to the actual workout itself. And make sure that your band isn't too hard, because your stronger muscles like quads will take over and you will lose your glute connection. Position a resistance band below your knees, slightly bend your knees and push your hips back. The key is to drive laterally into the ground with your grounded leg while stepping with your opposite leg. To get the most from this exercise, position your feet straight or turn them slightly inward and drive the knees outward into the bend, so don't let them cave in. We are doing 8 steps left, then 8 right, 6 steps left, 6 steps right, 3 steps left, 3 steps right, 8 times 1 step left, 1 step right, and then we have 8 standing abductions, and this counts as 1 set. With standing abductions, make sure your legs are wider than hip width, let knees cave in, and then force knees out hard against the band to get more range of motion. Our first superset will be rounded hip extension with abduction machine. And superset is when we are performing 2 exercises back to back without rest in between. And we are going to be doing 3 sets of 10 reps. Onto our rounded back extension. You will notice that the positioning of my upper back is slightly rounded, which does give this exercise more of a glute focus as opposed to our traditional back extension. Keeping your back rounded decreases tension in your erectors and might place a greater emphasis on the glutes, making it more of a glute dominant variation. You want the pad positioning just below the pubic bone without interfering with hip flexion. Turn your feet slightly out and tuck your chin in to further engage those glutes, and make sure to squeeze your booty maximally as you reach the full hip extension. On abduction machine, we are going to be doing first the upright position, and then we are moving into our forward lean positioning. While both torso angles work both the upper and the lower glutes, upright torso emphasizes the upper glutes more, while leaning forward brings the lower glutes into more play. Hitting different torso positions ensures that the glutes are hit from all angles. Next, you're going to superset Bulgarian split squats with dumbbell step-ups. To make the Bulgarian split squat more glute dominant, take a longer stride and tilt your torso forward. Keep your front foot straight or slightly turned inward. When you drop down to the bottom of the movement, your shin should be angled forward slightly, such that the front of your knee lines up with the front of your foot. When coming back up, drive off your front heel. Our second exercise in the superset is dumbbell step-ups. Place your whole foot on the box, and as you lower down into the squat, keep your spine neutral, slightly lean your torso forward, and align your knee over your foot. At the top of the movement, reach full knee and hip extension. Don't push off the ground excessively with your bottom leg. Be light on that back leg. When coming back up, drive through your heel and raise your torso and hips in one fluid motion. So the next superset we are going to work will be focused on our glutes and hammies. So we are going to be doing Romanian deadlift into a sumo squat. Romanian deadlift is a hip hinge movement pattern targeting hamstrings and glutes. So the key is driving your hips back. Slightly bend your knees and lower the weight to around the knees. Keep the bar close to your body through the full movement, and as you come back up, strengthen your knees and think about squeezing your glutes slightly to extend your hips. I like to keep my chin tucked to further engage my glutes. Remember that this isn't about who can get the bar the lowest. This is about drawing your hips back as far as you can to create the stretch. In this variation, we are going to be holding the kettlebell between the legs, so to prevent the weight from hitting the ground, stand on either two aerobic steps or benches and position them about your squat stance width apart. At the start of the movement, brace your spine by taking in a big breath and tightening the muscles of your core, and exhale when you come back up. Sit your hips between your thighs, keeping your back flat and torso upright as you descend into the squat. Reverse the movement by driving through feet while simultaneously extend your hips and knees. Keep your arms relaxed, allowing the weight to hang between your legs through the entire range of motion. Last up, we have one of my favorite glute exercises, which is glute bridge. So we're going to be doing 8 times glute bridge with abduction with 3 seconds hold, and on top of that we have 8 bridge finishers plus 8 abductions, and that will count as a 1 set. Position your resistance band above your knees and make sure to keep the constant tension on the band. Keep your feet shoulder width apart with toes pointed straight or slightly angled out. Drive through your heels and raise your hips as high as you can without arching your back. Squeeze your glutes for 3 seconds at the top of the movement, then drive your knees outward into the band and hold for 3 seconds and lower your hips all the way to the ground. When you're at full hip extension, your knees should be at 90 degrees. If you feel your hamstrings working, place the feet closer to your body. Make sure to keep your chin tucked to keep that posterior pelvic tilt, and this helps with your spinal alignment and further allows you to engage the glutes. Now we have 8 bridges, so drive your knees outward against the band while extending and lowering your hips. And lastly, we have 8 abductions, and when doing this, make sure hips don't drop. So girls, I hope you enjoyed this workout, and if you liked it and found it helpful, please share it with your friends who may also be looking for that body pump, and be sure to subscribe and keep an eye out for my next glute workout using just a small band. So you won't have any excuses for that one, because it can be done anywhere, anytime, and with minimal equipment.